Alright folks, today we have a 2014 Dodge Ram 3500 with 6.7 Cummins. Customer states that the heater core is leaking and you can see coolant dripping from the AC case drain from the firewall. Now this truck, it's got a full center console, so we'll have to remove that. And the first thing we'll have to do is just go ahead and get all this stuff out of here, all the personal stuff out of the center console. We'll move it to the back seat and then we'll go from there. All right, so at this point I've removed all the stuff out of the center console. I put it all in a cardboard box, stuck it in the back seat. Things won't get lost, you don't have to worry about it. Moving forward, we'll have to take the rubbers out of each one of these little trays and cup holders here. You've got a couple 7mm bolts. I think there's 3 in this one, 2 here, and then there's 2 Phillips head screws here. So we'll go ahead and take those out. So I went ahead and pulled these center cup holders out and the trim ring that goes around it. That's the only thing that's been removed from this area of the truck. There is a connector that goes in this 12-volt plug in this center tray here, so make sure you unplug that when you pull it out. So before we go any farther, I went ahead and went to the outside of the truck and I unhooked both batteries just to keep from damaging any electronics while we're taking stuff apart. It's always a safe practice when you get this far into something. But before I did that, it's worth noting that I scooted the seats all the way back to give me the most room that I could get, because these are electric seats. So just keep that in mind and we'll go from there. So the next thing we're going to do is remove this center entertainment center here. And if you look inside this tray here, where there's a rubber pad, there's a screw in the back there, and there's 2 screws up top here. And they're both, there's 3 of them. They are all T20 Torx. We'll go ahead and remove those real quick. So once you remove those 3 screws there, you'll have to kind of put some pressure on the back side. I just stuck my hand under this corner and on that corner there and popped the bottom side out, and then I was able to work it up until this whole center piece here will pop forward. Pull this forward and then remove your connectors on the back. You'll have a bunch of them where they go into the climate control and the volume knob and the 4-wheel drive actuator and all that stuff. So just unplug all that and we'll set this to the side. Once you have that removed, you can see that it opens up a lot of space here to kind of look at all the fasteners, and you'll see right away that this console has 2 bolts in the top here that are 7mm that is kind of fastened to this plastic framework for the center console. But if you look farther, you can see there's 2 10mm that are on each side, and they're actually covered up by these trim panels here. They go like that. You just pull them off on both sides and you get access to these 2 10s. You also have 2 Phillips head screws that go into the framework for the dash here that are in each corner. There's 1 there, and then there's 1 on the same corner over there. So remove those as well. Alright, so sitting from behind in the back seat, I've removed this cover from the back center console here, just so that I can show you guys exactly where this bolt is. If you look between the driver's seat and the passenger seat and the center console, you'll see that these metal brackets here, they've got a 10mm bolt that goes through here, one on the same spot on the other side. You got to go between the seat and the center console and remove that bolt, and that'll release the rear end of this console, so that way you can pick it up and slide it back. Alright, we've got those 2 bolts removed. If you look, the console will pick up now. So what we're going to do is go ahead and unplug these 2 connectors here. You've got to push this red piece back, push down that little tab, and unplug. Okay, now that we've got those undone, we should be able to pick up on this center console and slide it backwards. Just like that, we've slid the center console backwards. All right, so once we have the console back, then we'll start working on the framework for the inside of this dashboard so that we can peel it away from the firewall. So the first thing to do would be to expose all the places where this dashboard mounts. So the 2 first places I go to is this center piece here, and it's just snapped back. You just peel it back and you peel it out of this weather stripping here. And then you have this kickboard here, and all it does is just peel up, and then you can peel it out too. And that'll expose 2 of the mounting places. One's here, and then you have this guy right here. Up under this passenger side compartment here, there's a felt liner, and it's got these Christmas tree style fasteners there. You just pull it down. Now if you look, you'll have a floorboard light here. So I unhooked that light, and mine actually just there's a little trim piece there. It happened to pop off, and then all it does is pop right back into place. So I was able to pull the whole light out of the that felt piece that goes underneath the dash here. So I removed that. I peeled this carpet back. You can look here in the center. There's actually going to be 2 more mounts for this dash. There's one here and one on the other side of this vent. Okay, so up on top of this dash, you've got 2 pockets with these plates over top. I found it's easy to use a pick, and you just pop this plate up. So there's one here on the passenger side, and then there's one over here on the driver's side, and they're kind of right up against the window. Now you have to remove those so that this dash will pull away from that firewall as well. Okay, so on this side, the only thing I did was pretty much the same as the other side. Pulled off the kick panel, pulled off the panel on the side of the dash there. There's 2 screws on the bottom of this panel that goes underneath the steering column. Remove the 2 screws from either side, and it just pops down. So now this will afford me access to get the nuts off of the steering column mounts, and I'll be able to peel the steering column down and set it on the seat. Then we'll remove these bolts, and the ones up top and the ones on the other side and down here in the center, and we'll be able to peel this dashboard forward. All right, so all I've done here is I removed the 3 bolts on this side of the dashboard mount, and I removed 4 nuts. There's one there, and then 2 in the back, pretty much same spots. You can see them back here in this metal bracket, and that allows the steering column to drop forward. I just sit it right here on the seat and let it rest there during the rest of the repair. Okay, so at this point, I've just removed the 2 10mm bolts. There's one there, and then there's one right on the other side. Remove those 2 for the center mount, and now I'm going to go through and remove the 2 10mm on top of the dash. All right, on the driver's side of the truck, if you look underneath where the steering column mounts, you'll see. So just for the sake of safety, I went ahead and removed the information cluster up here, just so if something happened where it tilted back, it wouldn't crack the plastic in the cluster there. There's no reason other than that to pull that out, so that's completely up to your discretion. It's just 2 7mm bolts and a couple T20 Torx that holds the flashing in over there. So back on the passenger side of the truck, if you look under here, you'll see a white connector and a gray connector. You need to unplug both of these, and that will allow the dash to be able to pull away from the electrical connections. Once you've disconnected the connectors from that corner post there, remove the center post pillar corner covers. It's just 2 10mm bolts per side, and the reason being is because this dash has these little hooks in it. When you try to pull the dash away, it will pull that cover with it. So remove those, and then lift up and pull out and sit the corner of the dash on the seat. Try not to put the metal in there so you don't rip the seat, just the plastic. Maybe even better to put something underneath it to kind of protect that seat. But once you're to this stage, you've got it peeled back far enough that you could get to the heater core box and the AC evaporator. And that'll be part 2 of this video. In this truck, we're going to go ahead and replace the heater core, which comes through right here. But to do that, we'll have to remove this box and split the box open to get to it. So stay tuned for part 2.